All right, welcome to another episode of Gin and Truth. I'm the captain of this ship, Robert motherfucking Reed. I got a tumble full of Hendrix and mindful of thoughts. Let's go. All right, gang, let's jump into this shit. One, it's early in the morning. Two, yeah, the background is fucking terrible. I'm tired, but I told y'all, I'm going to keep doing this fucking show one way or the fucking other. So just sit back and enjoy the fucking ride. Gang, the meat of today's rotted sandwich, Christian apologetics. Boy, do I look tired. And look at my cut way the fuck over there. Uncle Bobby, go fuck yourself. Back on topic. Christian apologetics. I told you. Christian Gin and Truth on fucking YouTube is where Christian apologetics comes to die. It comes to die. Again, in Latin or Greek, it means to explain or to defend. In Cajun, it means I'm going to lie to your fucking face. There is no other context, gang, by which this style of communication is deemed okay, is deemed the least bit respectable. And why does it look like my eyes aren't focused right now? God, I look horrible. Back on topic. You can't survive outside of the debate stage, the debate arena, and talk like this. And when I say debate, I am using that term loosely because these motherfuckers, they don't debate. They read scripts. They push you through a flow chart, a meat grinder. Seriously, name a context by which you can talk like this and be deemed civil. You can't. If you were brokering a real estate deal, a commercial real estate deal, and the person you're going back and forth was like, look, I'm going to tell you what, this is a tremendous opportunity, but the pennies are kind of tight right now. So I'm going to tell you what, I will sign right now because I do want, obviously, a pretty rapid ROI on this son of a bitch. So I'm going to tell you what, I will sign the papers right now. 75 cents a square foot. I mean, it's a fucking warehouse. You're going to get paid. I'm going to get paid on the back end. I think that's fair. What do you say? You want to shake on it? 75 cents? And then when the person sitting across from you is like, oh, $2.14, it's a deal. That's not what I said. That's actually the exact opposite of what I said. That's a whole lot. No, I said, I will sign right now if you give me 75 cents a square foot. Again, this is a warehouse. You're about to get paid. Come on now, 75 cents. Stop playing games. And their response is, so you said $2.14, right? And you're going to keep going back and forth where it's like you realize this is just a shady ass businessman, Donald Trump. And you're going to walk out. And then when that person is like, well, I don't see what the problem is. They said $2.14. That's not what they said. They said 75 cents. But like Christian apologetics, you have to assert someone's position for them and then make them defend that, even though that's not what they said. That's Christian apologetics. They cannot survive an actual back and forth because an actual back and forth would suggest they actually have to shut the fuck up and listen, which is something that an apologist just can't do. Right? I would say they have conversations. Well, they do. They just have a conversation with themselves. You just happen to be the verbal backstop, something that they can bounce shit off of and then post it as a major victory, right? Matt Hunt. Cheers to Matt Hunt. I'm definitely not saying he got this from me, but it's almost just common sense that this is how you have to do this if you want to survive. The best way to win at this game, gang, is not to play it. It's not to play it. The game is designed for your failure. Period. End of story. You can't win at this game. And I can say this on my channel because when I said it on Chris's channel, he absolutely mutated my words, just like I said he would, and just like he said he wouldn't do. Fucking liar. The best way to win at this game is not to play it. There's no way that a non-apologist gets to the end of the meat grinder without having to take a knee. And so Matt Hunt talked to Cy Tim Bruggencate, if you guys remember. And Hunt was like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give two shits about the God claims. I don't care. I'm here to talk about COVID. You sat there and you kicked the bullshit. The words that came out of your mouth costed people their lives, Cy. And for the people who didn't lose their lives, some of them wish that they had. That's how severe those after effects of COVID actually were. Stop playing games, dude. Stop playing the games. Okay. Cy heard that, and his immediate kickback was, let's talk about your epistemology. Matt Hunt was, let's talk about these motherfucking lies that you told. And they kept going back and forth. Matt Hunt wasn't trying to hear about it, and all Cy wanted to do was to play the game. It's like, I asked you a question, Cy. Why were you lying? And finally, Cy was like, well, do you want an answer? It's like, I would love an answer. I'll give you an answer. Pizza sleeps fast under the west, therefore the mudge. You guys remember? What was Matt Hunt's response? Crickets. He didn't play the game. And Cy's response was, oh, you didn't catch that? Pizza sleeps fast under the kitty table. Kitty table. That's exactly where Matt Hunt sent him. To the fucking kitty table, where that shit belongs. Again, there under no other context can this be deemed respectable. And another quick analogy, quick story before we get to the meat of today's rotted sandwich. My mom, I'll never forget this day for as long as I live. I don't know, maybe by today's standards, the fuck is that? By today's standards, it's probably called bullying. Back when I was like, welcome to Tuesday afternoon, motherfucker. But I still remember who did it. But every day for about a week or so, coming home on the school bus, the old yellow dog, someone found out that my first name was Robert. The only people who call me Robert are the people online and the people in Austin. Everyone else calls me Chris. It's my middle name. It's what I grew up as. And for whatever reason, this little bastard thought Robert, he was a kid, was just a source of huge embarrassment. So every day coming home from school, Robert Schmaubert, the big fat Schmaubert, Robert, and just would go on. And I would just lose it every day. And then I told my mom, after about probably the fifth or sixth day that this happened, and mom simply said, ignore him. Ignore him. He's living for your reaction. Ignore him. The next day, I got on that school bus armed with my mom's knowledge. Sure enough, Robert Schmaubert, the big fat Robert. You know what I did? And I can still hear him behind me, gang. It's like, Robert. I didn't give him the reaction. So do you know what he did? Robert. Jimmy Schmimmy, the big fat Schmimmy. And Jimmy lost his shit. I swear before God and former white people. Mom was right. They live for our reaction, right? That to me is Christian apologetics. The only difference is when that happened to me, I was like in the fourth fucking grade. Online, this is being perpetrated by grown ass men and women. Please go fuck yourself. Now, gang, this one's going to hurt. It is. I'm going to show you something. Podcasters, just act like you can see. We're going to hit it with the Autobots transform and roll out. What do you see? This motherfucker. Fuckface Frank Turek. Oh my God. That name right there should have had your booty hole clenched all the way up. This motherfucker could not be honest if you paid him money. You want to know how I know that? Because he gets paid to do the exact opposite. Look, I'm allergic to this dude. These are snake oil salesmen. He does not know any other way to make a living. I used this analogy before. Raylene, the porn star. I know. Fuck faces. You don't know who I'm talking about. Please go fuck yourself. Raylene was not ashamed of what she did. She did it. She had her fun. She was like, you know what? I'm going to put up my heels in my thong. I'm going to go into the other world. Right? And I think she tried to sell real estate. No company would touch her. No company would touch her. It's like, we know who you are. Let's say her real name was Rebecca. Hey, Raylene, I can't put you in front of a client. That client just jerked off. I can't. And because it was after porn ends, I think the second one, I told you the topic of porn for me is way more interesting than the actual product. And she went back to doing porn. And I remember she was like, I hate this. I hate it. Right. It's not that I hate what I do. It's just that I hate that I don't have any other options. Because the exact same people who jerk off to what it is I do on camera are the exact same people that are shaming me now. I hate this. I'll never forget that. All she can do now is to suck dick in front of a camera. That's fuckface Frank Turk. Hey, fuckface Frank Turk, why don't you go and do something else? Like, tell the truth. I'm worth $7 million, motherfucker. I'm not giving this up because he doesn't have any other marketable job skills. Again, if you're smart enough to defend a dissertation and get a PhD, you're smart enough to memorize simple concepts like what is atheism. So let me go on over here to fucking Twitter. Again, as usual, gang, I'm glad I wasn't, looking up porn. That would have been embarrassing if I had to pull that shit up in front of you guys. And so this is from the Twitter handle Solar Requiem. Go fuck yourself. And it reads, Dr. Frank Turk, 4 reasons why lack of belief in God isn't a sufficient definition for atheism. Well, let me tell you something there, fuckface Frank Turk. You don't get to make that call. You don't. And this is what I'm talking about. In order for this let me go back over here to StreamYard. He knows. He is very well aware that if he has an actual conversation, he does not stand a chance. Again, I did this to one Christian, Titus 3:5, before I blocked him. He gave me my definition of atheism, and I told him that's not who I am. His response was quite literally, sorry, Robert, yes, it is. It's like, you arrogant bastard. That's where I came up with, how many golf balls do you shove up your ass? How many? And gang, I did not stop. I did not stop. He told me I was inappropriate. I was like, I don't even give a fuck. How many golf balls? And I kept going until he finally said, Robert, I don't shove golf balls up my ass. I was like, then you're not a Christian. You're not a Christian. You see how this works, Christians? I don't define what you are, so you don't get to do that to me. But again, in order for you guys to be the last person standing during a debate, this is the tactic that you have to pull. Let's go back over here to this fuckface. Again, so it's 4 reasons why lack of belief in God isn't a sufficient definition. Let me translate that to you. Give atheists this definition of atheism so that we can be the last person standing during a debate. Now, here's the first fucking reason. According to this fuckface Frank Turk. If atheism is merely a lack of belief in God, then atheism is just a claim about the atheist state of mind, not a claim about God's existence. Go fuck yourself. Please go fuck yourself. He says this every single time. Again, this is a script. He has been told this before. Apologists have been told this before. But again, I would say one ear and out the other. It just doesn't go in at all. Right? The atheist is simply saying, I'm not psychologically convinced that God exists. So what? That offers no shut the fuck up. What do you say to that? Atheism is literally, I do not believe you. That's where it starts. And it can go all the way to, I believe that. And for the 1 billionth time, the answer is no. That's not a word game. I don't believe your claims. That's it. I don't have to explain to you how the universe began. I don't have to explain consciousness. I don't have to explain morality, right? Football does not speak to morality. It doesn't. Doggy style does not speak to the origins of the universe. Atheism simply answers one question about me. Do you believe in a God? The answer is no. Everything else is everything else, right? So what else is this fuckface? Show more. I am going to regret looking at this. All right. So that offers no evidence for or against God. I almost agree with that. Again, I just don't believe it. Just leave it at that. Most people lack a belief in God or Most people lack a belief in unguided evolution, yet no atheist would say, okay, For the 1 trillionth time, atheism does not speak to evolution. I would say what's so hard about that, but I already know. They can't listen. They refuse to listen, gang. You know what? Hold on. Let's just act. I just realized you guys can't fucking see this. That's a little bit better. Uncle Bobby, go fuck yourself. Stop being rusty. Back on topic. Let's just keep this train moving, shall we? Number 2. This is apparently the second reason why. If atheism is merely a lack of belief in God, oh, here we go, then rocks, trees, and outhouses are all atheists because they lack a belief in script reading. That's all this is. Script reading. This is not difficult, gang. It's only difficult when you make it to be as such. I can't stand this motherfucker. Now, again, I'm really getting frustrated over here. Okay. Rocks, trees, and outhouses are all atheists. Again, if we're going to play this game, again, you've got no idea how badly you've watered down the definition of fucking everything. Of everything, right? All right, I'm just looking around. My cup, my Bucky's cup that is filled with electrolytes, it's a virgin. If we're going to define a virgin as something that does not participate in sexual activities, then my Bucky's cup over there is a virgin. All right. The shoes that I am wearing right now, they currently are not eating a steak. And if we're just going to define a vegetarian as something that does not consume animal parts, then my shoes, are not vegetarian. Right? Let me see. I just took a massive shit. And if we're just going to define a football player as someone who wears a helmet, then the shit that I just took, it's not a football player. We can do this all day. Rocks, trees, and outhouses do not have the capacity to think. Again, if we're just going to play this game, you have watered down the definition of basically every word in the English fucking dictionary. But you don't care. You don't care. Again, it's a lot easier to assert someone's position for them than to actually have a conversation. And again, this is my problem with YouTube. I'm an asshole because I called a coward a fucking coward, Ben Shapiro. Fuckface Frank Turek can sit here and spout lies like a motherfucker. Right? He's a silver plaque award-winning fucking YouTuber. He sells books. He holds seminars. He gets paid top dollar to lie. He has been corrected on this 14 trillion times. Here's 14 trillion and one. And by him, I mean all of these suckers. And they still stick to the same script because what else are they able to do? What's reason number fucking 3? Okay. Most atheists don't merely lack a belief. Gary, here we go. Thank you for asserting my position for me, fuckface. Most atheists don't merely lack a belief in God because they are constantly trying to explain the world by offering up supposed alternatives to God. That's not true. That's not true. I don't owe you. Again, what does he always say? Right? If there's a body and there's 2 detectives, this detective makes the claim that the butler did it. The other atheist, Jesus Christ, the other detective makes the claim that I don't believe you. Now, according to him, and apparently J. Warner Wallace, who's a retired detective, and apparently he was shitty at it because he's making the claim that the one who's saying I don't think the butler did it owes you an explanation. Well, then who did it? I don't know. But you just said the butler didn't do it. I know. That's exactly what I said. The butler wasn't even in town. We have travel records. We've got hotel receipts. The motherfucker was not even in the house when this crime was committed. I don't believe that the butler committed the crime, or who did it. I don't know. See, it's the fuck faces like J. Warner Wallace as a detective as to why innocent people get locked up, right? Well, the butler didn't do it. Well, you just got to come up with the gardener. Now the gardener's getting, hamstrung, right? All I'm responsible for is telling you my position, and that is I don't believe you. Well, who created the universe? 1, that's a loaded question. 2, I don't know. Well, you owe me an explanation. I don't know you a motherfucking thing. That's what this is. right? We aren't constantly trying to explain the world by offering, no, I just don't believe you. Again, if you want to know how the universe works, go ask a scientist. But no, we can't have that, right? You just want to sit here and continue to jerk off to these bullshit ass talking points. I need some water, gang. Go fuck yourselves. Come on, Bucky's Cup. Hold on. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. Don't move. Talk amongst yourselves, fuck faces. This won't take long. All right, I'm black. That didn't take long. Told you. You impatient motherfuckers. Let's go over here to StreamYard. All right. No harm, no foul. Let's keep this train moving. Let's go ahead and blow up Shwade on this one. All right. Atheists write book after book insisting God is out of a job because of quantum theory, multiple universes, and evolution. Kind of. Because it goes a little something like this. Again, I'm not a scientist, but I remember talking to my best friend about it, who actually is one. He has a medical license. And the bottom line is, when they do their job, nowhere in the equation is God. It's not that God, is being pushed out. It's just that God was never in the conversation. He's not, right? I don't know what the fuck quantum theory is, but I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that God is nowhere in quantum theory, multiple universes. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts God's not a part of that. I know very little about evolution, but I kind of know what the foundational pillars are. And nowhere in that conversation is the word God. Just like football isn't in any of these descriptors. Pizza, long distance running, sexual intercourse, electrolytes, quantum theory, multiple universes, evolution. They've got nothing to do with anything other than what the fuck it has got to do with it. It's not that God was eliminated. It's just that God was never part of the conversation, right? So what else do we got here? While none of these atheist arguments, these aren't atheist arguments, fuck nuts. These are scientific fields of study. Atheism does not equal science. It may be consistent with science, but it's not science. Again, this isn't a conversation. While none of these atheist arguments succeed in proving there is no, here we go. You can't prove to me that there is no God. This fucker has got a PhD, gang, and listen to how he sounds. Come on, just fucking stop it. Okay. Proving there is no God. They do prove that atheists don't merely lack a belief in God. They believe in certain theories that explain reality without God. I don't even know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. Again, I said this in the last show that I did that only got released on Spotify and Apple and wherever the fuck else you find my fucking show. It just gets to a point where you're platforming fucking stupidity. Again, you got a 37-year-old man over there who actually believes that a stork brings babies in the middle of the night. And then that man's going to go and find an OBGYN and say, I want you to debate me. The OBGYN is going to say, do not waste my fucking time. I'm not going to debate you. There's no profit in bringing up this topic. None at all. That's what this is. Right? There's no conversation to be had because this is just a script, a tired fucking script. Right? Side, I want to talk about COVID. Pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the Mudge. That's what this is. For a trillion times, they believe in certain theories to explain reality without God. You've taken it too far. God is not a part of our conversation. I have to talk about it. By I mean us, because it's constantly thrown in our fucking face. Like yesterday, I had some fuck face. I'm still looking through the threads. Again, last week, gang, when I said to grow up, that Moses did not put a stick in a fucking sea and that thing split. Oh my God, people lost their fucking mind. And I'm still responding to that. And then, there's no Christian persecution. And then some fuck nuts say, well, why don't you, knuckle up to Muslims? Because they leave me alone. They don't knock on my door and they don't scream at me when I leave HEB. but you Christians do. So this is why I have to talk about it. And you know that. Jews, leave me alone. Scientologists, leave me alone. Muslims, leave me alone. Not so much for you fucking Christians. But again, how do you explain this without God? God's not part of the conversation. More importantly, I'm an atheist. I'm not a scientist. How about that, right? The fourth and final. This one's going to make me bleed. Okay. The fourth reason on why apparently we aren't, matching fuckface Frank Turek's definition of atheism. Give me a break. Finally, the I merely lack a belief in God definition leads to a contradictory. Oh, here we go. As Dr. Richard Howell points out, the definition of atheism entails the quirky conclusion that atheism is logically compatible with theism. Here's why. If lacking a belief in God is the definition of atheism and not there is no God, then atheism is true, even if God really exists. How is that reasonable? Okay, let's do this. Here's my analogy. Pickup truck, foreskin, elbow. Elbow, football field, I-35 North. I-35 North, pizza sleeps fast under the west. I don't like Brussels sprouts. I don't like Brussels sprouts. Vacuum the floor, hammer a nail, Alaska. That's what I just read. That's how this translates to me. Again, Christians, let's go back over here to StreamYard. Go fuck yourselves. Let's reverse this. Christians, if you were to work half as hard on proving your claims to be true versus telling us atheists what atheism is versus what atheism is not, you would actually make a hell of a lot more traction. You would, right? This is just sitting on some bullshit. I can't respond to that. That was just a bunch of words just put in a fucking blender and then just poured out on the masses. What do you say to that? Right? I mean, if we spar, I'm a 7th degree black belt. You've never trained in the martial arts before a day in your life. I've done mixed martial arts tournaments, right? I know how to fucking fight. May not be the best dude out there, but I know how to fucking fight. Now, before we even get on the mat, you're like, okay, this is what's going to happen, Uncle Bobby. Okay, when we leave here, you're going to tell everyone that I crushed your trachea because I put you in a triangle. I didn't even give you a chance to tap out. I completely fucked you all the way up. Now, that's what we're going to tell people. You got that fuck face? I'm like, but that's not what happened. Yeah, see, but if we go out there and tell the truth, that we sparred and you kicked my ass, then I don't get to say that I won. See, that's the problem. Yeah, but if we do spar, chances are I am going to win because you've never trained before a day in your life, and I've literally trained longer than you've been alive. So I'm not missing it. Yeah, see, if you don't go out there and tell everyone that I crushed your trachea via a triangle, I can't say that I won. Okay, I'm following that part, but you didn't do that. See, that's my problem. That's what this is like, right? Okay, atheism, fuckface Frank Turk. Atheism is me simply saying, I don't believe you. Yeah, see, if you say that, Robert, I understand that that's your stance, but I don't get to win the debate, and that's the problem. So if you could just, be a daisy for me and just simply play along and say that atheism is this versus what it is you said, then I get to win the debate. See, and that's what's going to get me paid. Yeah, but I didn't say that about atheism. That's what you said about atheism. And get this fuckface off my screen. That's what you said about atheism, and that's not true. That's what that is, gang. That's what that is. That's why I say the best way to win at this game is not to play it. Gang, Uncle Bobby's only giving you one big motherfucking problem. Whereas I'm going to give you one big motherfucking solution. Christian Apologetics, shut the fuck up. Liars. That's all you guys are. That's all you guys are. An actual conversation requires a back and a forth. It requires a back and a forth. In order for you to call this an actual conversation, a debate, I get to talk. More importantly, I get to talk for myself, just like you get to talk, and you get to talk for yourself. Again, gang, I did not enjoy this experience. I did not. And I was definitely being the nice guy because, again, I am a nice person. I am. But the whole conversation, the police interrogation with Chris, I did not enjoy it, but I'm glad I did it because I've got a reference point. Within the first 10 minutes, that motherfucker asserted my position for me. And I called him out. I said, my dude, hold on. Did you just assert my position for me? His response was quite literally, oh, absolutely. How do you call that an actual conversation? His termite crew did. Fuckface Frank Turk's termite crew does as well. Right? Chris sat there and literally like, dude, just so you know, I don't give a fuck on whether anything is objectively or I don't care. That's just, a hanger on. I do not care. Spent the entire time trying to get me to admit that something was objective. It's like, I don't care. Well, you just said, that's not what I said. But you said that. That's not what I said. Right? That's Christian apologetics. I need you to follow this script. If you don't follow this script, how do you expect me to be the last person standing? Well, I don't. I expect us to have an actual conversation. Right? And stop thinking about it as a win versus a loss. Think of it as an opportunity, as my old high school football coach would say, an OFI, an opportunity for improvement, right? There's never a bad time to learn new information, right? Christians, instead of seeing this as an opportunity to win a debate, see it as an opportunity for improvement. You can learn something new, and that is always good. If you guys would actually shut the fuck up long enough to listen to us say what atheism is versus what atheism is not, you would these conversations would go a hell of a lot smoother. Yeah, atheists can absolutely disagree on what the definition of atheism is. But again, what is so hard about letting members of the club define the fucking club? And if me and atheist X over there have a disagreement on what atheism is, then let us handle it. Because here's the thing, Christians, you got your own sack of shit to deal with. There are over 33,000 denominations of just Christianity. You guys can't decide amongst yourselves who is versus who is not the actual Christians. So stop worrying about this shit that's going on in my camp. Your camp is littered with bullshit. How many times do we all, atheists, how many times do we all have to hear the bullshit ass line? Those weren't real Christians. Then you guys go fucking decide, but leave us the fuck alone. At the end of the day, let atheists speak for atheism. You guys are smart enough to know that, but you refuse to do it because you're so addicted to your script. You're so addicted to being the last person standing. This is the bullshit that you pull. But at the end of the day, I need you guys to remember one thing, Christians and Christian apologists. It's all sitting on some bullshit. All right, gang, the big guy's held you long enough. He's signing the fuck off. Gin and Truth, let's go. Well, that was anticlimactic. Uncle Bobby, go fuck yourself. Gang, after all this time, I still can't stand fuckface Frank Turk.